evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the English News. Here are the headlines of our news editions tonight. The headlines are Prime Minister in Indonesia to receive the World War to the President of the Republic. In Yemen, Security Council mobilized to save the truth between the belligerents. That were our top stories, and now let's get to the details. The Prime Minister, Mr. Abdulqadir Kamil Mohammed, kicks off a 3-day visit to Indonesia since last night, when he was welcomed into the VIP lounge at Halim Perdana International Airport in Jakarta by the Director of African Affairs, Daniel, Ambassador of Djibouti to Indonesia, with the resident in Japan, Mr. Ahmed Arreita Ali. The objectives of the Prime Minister Abdulqadir Kamil Mohammed's visit is to participate in the 4th edition of Gala Evening for the World Good Governance Prize held this year in Jakarta. In the framework of the improvement of the good governance of the public enterprise, a meeting of very high level which assumed a singular importance brought together the main actors who intervene in the device of the control of the state on the public companies. This meeting, hosted by the Minister of Economy and Finance, was attended by the Minister of the Budget and the Minister of Justice. This meeting was an opportunity to present a bill on the financial control of public enterprise and certain entities receiving financial assistance from the state to the main stakeholders, including the Court of Auditors, the General Inspector of Finance, the State General Inspections, and the Commission to fight corruptions were participated in the event. The Minister of Economy and Finance in charge of industry, Mr. Ilyas Musa Duwalis, said he was satisfied with the completions of the structurations project, constituting mainly of improving the governance and financial control system of the state on public enterprise. It should be noted that the reform of the financial control subject of the present law, which is under discussion, aims at providing the public enterprise as well as the organs of governance, management and control of unified legal framework. The Minister of Health, Dr. Jamal Al-Mauki, and the UNICEF representative, Mrs. Janabo, proceeded to the signing of the annual work plan to 2019 and 2020. This annual work plan is part of the corporation program entitled Child Survival and Development. The signing ceremony was attended by the Secretary General of the Minister of Health, Dr. Salah Benoita, and the Minister of Health and UNICEF. This program of corporation is based on 3 main components: integrated management of childhood, engineering promotions, and maternal and newborn health to meet the major challenges. The UNICEF representative, Mrs. Janabo, took the opportunity to congratulate the Department of Health for its ongoing effort to improve the health of mothers and children. Following the signing, the Minister of Health, Dr. Jamal Al-Mauki, expressed satisfaction with the increase of the involved dedicated to the health of the mother and the child. The Minister thanked Mrs. Janabo for the constant and regular support provided by the Minister to the public, and especially to the Minister of Health. As part of National Women's Week, the Minister of Women and Family and UNFD with the UNFPA organized a workshop to present studies on gender extensions and the reference protocol in collaborations with organizations. The event takes place at the Hotel Acacias in the presence of the Minister of Women and Family, as well as the Vice President of the UNFPA, representing and as well as university study students and the representative of civil society. The theme of that day was to think equitability and to fight against all forms of violence. The Minister of Women and the Family, Mrs. Momina Hamad Hassan, recalled in her speech that the minister has set up a national reference system to coordinate the mechanism of care for victims of gender-based to fight against the violence. The grand prize of the Head of State reward every year women who made the difference in the history and their actions in favor of the society, the economy, and the country. Let's watch together the image of the 2018 winners to understand the award they have won and how it has changed their lives.
Against violence in all its forms perpetuated against women. At the head of the Women's Association of Dora, Asiya Muhammad, candidate of 2018 Grand Award of the Head of State, made this fight her linchpin. She regularly organizes awareness-raising activities for her community. Her method is based on the mobilization of all the components of her locality: men, women, girls, and boys. Customary chief people in general are not immune to their actions. She uses traditional sketches and songs to pass her message, objectives, to convince them to abandon this practice. Awareness raising also focuses on the promotion of income-generating activities, recognized and rewarded efforts that have allowed Asiya and her association to intensify their actions. The Head of State Grand Prize of $2,500,000 was a blessing to the Dora Women's Association. Thanks to this award, Asiya has fine-tuned its action program and the results are up to date. This day, very promising. We made a lot of effort and organized several awareness sessions. We asked women to stop female genital mutilation practices. All this thanks to the prize of the President of the Republic, whose Dora Association has benefited. Also, a 2018 winner, Fathiya Hussein, is a 34-year-old woman who has made her mark in the world of automobile mechanics, a sector reserved for men that she has managed to break through thanks to her determination, dedication, and above all, her perseverance. At the head of Sigma Autotech for only a few years, Fathiya has benefited from her reward not only to establish her notoriety as a garage owner, but also to transform her entity as one of the few garages that have integrated new technologies into everyday tasks, demonstrating its ability to adapt to the technical requirements and knowledge of the moment. Its slogan, "Always more service," proves the character of a woman who is never tired and who innovates continuously. And for good reason, more than just a garage, Fathiya knew how to make of its company a modern tool of diagnosis, programming, and repair. The funds of its reward played a determining role. Fathiya will go so far as to make its center a learning space for young people, and in particular for LIC students, a technical and commercial high school. One of the students said that Sigma Autotech already employs several people. The choice that the Ministry of National Education and Training has focused on her company to train her students is nothing trivial. The know-how is there, and thanked the MENFAB for this form of recognition. As for Fathiya, said it's not just a garage. We also provide practical training for young people using modern tools. She said, I think the Ministry of National Education and Vocational Training, my thanks also to the President of the Republic and the First Lady for the award of March 8. The particularity of the grand prize of the Head of State, which he allocates honorary fans. This was the case last year for Mrs. Saida Salah, who, thanks to this gesture, was able to fulfill her religious duty, the Hajj, with her husband. Almost a year later, she cannot hide her surprise of what she describes as a divine intervention through the President of the Republic. She said, "It was one night at her home when a driver came to ask her to attend the ceremony the next day. She left without knowing for the reward, and then she was called on and the prize was given to her. She expressed very happy. We performed Hajj with my husband and prayed for them. We always continue to do it after each prayer," she has shared with us. Yet Mrs. Saida is an active woman. Her efforts are there in the making of handicrafts, which she then sells on the market, but her earnings are few and barely able to support her family. According to her, despite her efforts, completing the Hajj thanks to the grand prize of the President Ismail Margili is the best thing that has happened to her in her life. Saida, Fathiya, Asiya, or all the women who have distinguished the grand prize of the head of state has had direct impacts on their daily lives. This is the essence of this award put in place by the President of the Republic through the Ministry of Women and the
A convention signing ceremony between the ambassador of Japan accredited to Djibouti, Mr. Yonetani, and the presence of the Secretary of State for Youth and Sport, Mr. Hassan Mohammed Kamel. This convention is part of the rehabilitations of the targeted community development center of the capital following the damage caused by Cyclone Sagar. Indeed, this convention aims to improve the functioning of this platform to promote the integration of Djiboutian youth.
With the Japan government through the Japan embassy here to be able to start working on that. So we're very, very much committed to work with the government very closely in terms of achieving this vision that they have to improve the youth centers to be very, very much useful for the youth that need to make use of it. So we're very delighted, and I want to express my organization's commitment to work closely with the government and the government of Japan that we will be able to make this happen to the standard that we want it to be as the youth center. So thank you so much for the opportunity, Embassy of the Japan and the government. We're very much very happy to work with you, and we will definitely make this happen together. Thank you.
For his part, the Secretary of State and Youth and Sport, Mr. Hassan Mohammed Kamel, thanked the organization of UNOPS and the ambassador of Japan, who, according to him, he said that he always on the side and gives his support to the development and promotion of Djiboutian youth. The Special Advisor of President of the Republic in charge of investment, Mr. Fahmi Ahmed, signing on behalf of the Republic of Djibouti, Mr. Marwan Abdullah, with Mr. Marwan Abdullah Al Ghani, Deputy Director General of Kuwaiti Fund of Arab Economic Development and Agreement, to schedule a significant part of the debt of our country to the Kuwait Fund. The repayment of concerned loans will be spread over 30 years with a grace. Last night, the University of Djibouti received a donation of books and scientific materials from the French Cooperative of Djibouti as part of the educational cooperations between the two countries. The delivery and reception document was signed by Dr. Jama Mohammed Hassan, the president of the University of Djibouti, and the ambassador of Djibouti in our country, Mr. Christophe Guillou. In his remarks, the ambassador of France to Djibouti, Christophe Guillou, was very delighted to hand over these books and scientific materials. It showed the excellent relationship between the Djibouti and France. As for the president of the University of Djibouti, Dr. Jama Mohammed Hassan, had thanked in his intervention the French government for their support and the donation they have received. As part of the promotion of education for children with disability, the National Agency for Disabled People, at their head, Mr. Douale Said Mahmoud, chaired the roundtable with the participations of the MIRFAP, the Secretary of State for Social Affairs, the Minister of Health, the Ministry of the Women and the Family, as well as the UNFD. On continental news, the UN on Wednesday gave unanimous support to Martin Griffith, its envoy for Yemen, to save the truce reached in early December and trained to shutter without, however, advance major new initiative to reverse the course of events. The main provisions of this agreement: redeployment out of port, prisons exchange, and as well as many other agreements held by the Houthi rebels and the Yemeni government supported by the coalitions are still not in place. Here we arrive at the end of this news edition. Thank you for watching us. Goodbye.